Hello and welcome on the Air podcast, the show where we bring you inside of the world of AI Revolution Company through real conversation with people making the big things happen, our executives, partners, and customers. In each episode, we go behind the scenes to explore ideas, challenges, and innovations driving AI-powered transformation across industries. I'm your host, Ulyana Zilbermints, and today I'm excited to sit down with someone who's truly seen it all. Rahul Naik is an industry veteran who's led digital and business transformation projects in all kinds of environments. He brings a rare mix of strategy, operations, and tech know-how, giving him a full circle view of what real transformation looks like. Rahul, it's so great to see you, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Ulyana. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the generous introduction.
Yes, I'm really excited to hear more about the business transformation as you've done so much strategy work. So what typically drives a company to launch a business or digital transformation, and what should leaders carefully consider before making that leap?
Very often in the growth story of an organization, it hits certain barriers or some plateaus where challenges that were surmountable earlier now are much, much harder to overcome. Those challenges could be revenue growth, market penetration. It could be cost reduction or efficiency, quality, or customer satisfaction. Now, it feels like a huge struggle for these organizations because solutions that have worked in the past don't seem to be working anymore. It feels like we are sweating on the treadmill, but not getting anywhere. And that's when the realization dawns that perhaps what we need is not do more of the same, but level up to the next stage of maturity of the organization. And really, that's what business transformation is all about. It's about helping an organization to level up and become a better version, a more effective version of itself relative to increased ambition. So that when organizations have that kind of aha moment, when they feel the peak of what the existing bag of solutions can deliver, that's when we need to embark on digital transformation. Now, different organizations have different maturity levels, so that realization dawns earlier or later. But people like me, it is our job to help the leadership recognize these signals before it becomes too late.
Absolutely. No, this is great. And I always talk to technology leaders and they have technology up front, but sounds like the business strategy always need to be really considered. So let's talk a little bit about how business and strategy and technology intersect in transformation efforts. And what role does AI now play in that equation?
Business and strategy. First of all, the business has its own strategy in terms of market growth or market presence, right? But its execution is holding it back. Something about the organization is holding it back. There are hard conversations to be had about what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. What are the things that are holding us back? These can't be just topical surface level conversations. These are meaningful internal introspection to be done. And then you discover what is it about you that needs to change. And that might be in the space of technology. It might be in the space of process. It may be in the space of people. These are combinations that need to be recalibrated so that the organization is better prepared for the future. Technology is not the hardest part of the problem, really. It's first having clarity about what our purpose is and what will get us there. Secondly, what do we need to change? Change is hard because everybody believes everybody else needs to change. So we need to have this hard conversation about what we are aiming to change. And then relative to that agreement, what are the technologies we can bring to bear? Those could be off-the-shelf solutions. They could be built-up solutions that are using now no-code, low-code platforms. They could be augmented with data analytics, robotics, AI and ML, as you mentioned. Now, admittedly, AI and ML is the coolest kid on the block right now. And there's a lot of buzz about it. But we've got to be a little less romantic about these things and be a little more pragmatic as to where does AI fit? Where does it act as an accelerant rather than purely a cosmetic thing to hang on the dashboard, So in my opinion, business transformation or digital transformation is going to be helped most by agentic AI. When we have a whole workforce, perhaps, AI agents are very cheap to build. They're not complex to build, use, and even discard. So we can think about AI agents having a substantial swarm of digital workforce. And but we have to be careful because there needs to be some governance and some control over it. Otherwise, these AI swarms can create a chaos of their own, and we don't want to get entangled in that. So AI, especially agentic AI, offers a great promise in this space, but we've got to handle that with little care and caution.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for sharing. I also feel that in conversation earlier you and I had, that there's some companies in this moment of stagnation. They hit a wall or they hit a plateau, and business strategy like yours would really help accelerate or come up with steps to really go into like stagnation and leap into the next level of performance. So can you share with me, how can you and business strategy help those companies that kind of reach that plateau level?
Really, it's a case of first helping people understand, especially the leadership understand, that we're not solving episodic issues, right? We're not solving one event or one episode or multiple versions of the same episode. What we are solving is a systemic limitation, right? That the business system itself has reached the limit of its maturity. So once that is the first hurdle to cross. The second hurdle to cross is to draw a picture of what the next level will look like and what it takes to get to that next level. And as I said earlier, what it takes is some combination of people, process, and technology. Technology is not that hard, and process engineering is really not that complicated. It can be done. But the hardest part is going to be, how do we build a system of incentives and disincentives that helps people, the workforce, adopt these changes and accept and move along with these changes. Technology, I don't want to trivialize it, but in the technology mall, there are many stores, and we can get technology. But selecting the right combination in relation to the processes, the business processes, and the people that need to adopt these processes, that's where the challenge lies. First step is really convincing the management that this needs to be taken up as a systemic change and not merely it's not like an irritant that we need to solve. It's a maturity we need to achieve, right? I don't know if that resonates with you, but that's...
No, absolutely. And the question for you, take 10 years ago when you did business transformation and fast forward to today, do you still work on a 3-5 year transformation plans, or now it's really about, hey, it's accelerated because of AI, but also the business has to be really moving with the speed of light?
No, 3-5 years is unthinkable. Anybody who thinks of the world changes within a very, very short time. Within 12 months, the world has changed. The landscape shapes differently. So you may have a vision for that along the horizon. However, the delivery of success has to be in shorter installments, 4 months, 5 months max. So some amount of success has to be delivered quickly, because then people see that, and momentum begets momentum, right? So we need to that's a matter of execution. We need to understand there are systemic improvements to be made, but now nobody is going to wait a year or 2. 3 is out of question. You've got to do it in a matter of months. The first version of the cake has to be baked within months. And then you can add more pizzazz to it. That's fine, but you got to get some action earlier on. And thankfully, technology platforms have also evolved so that the go-to-market window has shrunk, right? Whether it's off the shelf or even build low-code, no-code solutions, they're available, and you can get up and running within a matter of months. So the timelines have shrunk. There's no appetite for waiting for years. Just none.
Sure, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think everybody also wants to see smaller chunks of innovation in all areas and see what's the best outcome and then jump on that project versus, hey, all hands on deck on one particular area. Looking at multiple streams of technology solutions and projects, identifying the best ROI, jumping into demos, making sure the business understands it, right? And then figuring out how do we implement it in short, as you said, increments to give more value.
Certainly, yeah. It is in short bursts. I want to hasten to add that short bursts should not be equated with short-term vision or myopia. You can have a goal that is attainable over time, but the pattern of success, the rhythm of success has to be in short installments, right? So we have the first deployment in a matter of months, and then have the second version of it in next few weeks and so on and so forth until we roll it out and unpack the whole vision over time. People need to see change quickly. Otherwise, we just lose an audience.
Absolutely. Thank you. And one more question. You already touched on that a little bit about pitfalls, AI and, cosmetic things that the hype of AI. But what are the most common blind spots and pitfalls that you've seen companies face during transformation projects, and how can they avoid them going forward?
Sure. At the cost of sounding repetitive, I'll say the biggest blind spot is not paying enough attention to change management. There is this mindset, and I struggle to, even after all these years, to convince people about it, that, at the high level, at the senior levels, they might come up with an idea, so we need to change, and we need to change in this direction. And they're so kind of absorbed by this fancy or lofty aim that they tend to believe that the workforce will immediately be inspired by it and adopt and jump to the change right away. That is not going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, that is a grave misconception. People do not respond to change because it's a good idea. People respond to change because it can answer the question, how does this benefit me? Right? The truth of the matter is not all change will benefit everyone, and it will certainly not benefit everyone equally. This is the reality. And we've got to be able to communicate that and still convey that on the whole, it is good for everyone. I use a simple analogy that if you put a stop sign at the edge of the street over here, it is not going to help the drivers. In fact, it will slow down the drivers. But society as a whole will benefit because it becomes safer. So it doesn't necessarily mean that every element of change benefits everybody, and certainly not equally. But collectively, we are better off, and collectively, we will succeed. Now, that takes a little bit of persuasion. It takes a little bit of repetitive hammering, but eventually it'll stick. But can only happen if you have thought about this beforehand, about changing people. Business transformation or digital transformation is not about software or hardware or equipment or technology. It's about people changing. And when enough number of people change, then the organization changes.
This is great, Rahul. And I wanted to wrap it up with a question for you, because you are industry veteran, you've been a CIO as well. The role of the CIO, right? If you think about 10 years ago, the role didn't exist. It was, head of IT, that was the name. And now CIO role has been evolving and changing. What do you think the CIO role will play, will be evolving into in the next few years? And is it going to exist? Is it going to evolve? Where do you see the biggest impact? Who in the world of IT, the title or person that holds the most power to really make those projects happen with all the innovation that is happening today?
Right. So yes, it is true that that role has changed from the function of managing an information system or an IT system to being chief information officer, where data and systems are not important, is a consequence. The output of the collective infrastructure was important, right? Now it is getting even further on, where we are talking about the CIO or that kind of position not merely being satisfied with provision of information, but participating in conversation where the technology can be the differentiator or can be the accelerant. It can be the instrument of competitive advantage, right? So it's that's a role that has gradually shifted, and CIOs are increasingly asked to or expected to be the ones that connect the dots within the operations of the organization and the destiny of the organization, where the accelerant is technology, right? So that's the role, and so the CIOs are now going to be expected to be participants at the highest level in helping make that jump or make that transition between aspiration and achievement.
Great, great. Thank you so much. I know I still try to wrap it up, but I always want to ask you more questions. I know you've been in different industries and, pioneering, working with manufacturing, I think healthcare and others. But if I ask you, which industry today would benefit the most from their AI transformation, agentic AI, and which ones is the most behind, but which ones are going to leap using the technology and transforming in a completely fastest way possible comparing to others?
That's going to be really hard to pick one. I think AI in general is so versatile and so multifaceted that I don't think that it is fair to create an artificial race between this industry or that. I would like to basically withdraw from answering that question, because I don't think there is any industry that is not standing to benefit from AI. Non-profit organizations, governmental organizations, healthcare, semiconductor industry, hotelier industry, or manufacturing, they're all standing to benefit from it. Now, how they benefit, which are the elements of AI they put to use, and who is the beneficiary of it. Now that will need some work. But at the level of the question that you asked, which industry stands to gain the most, I think you're going to work harder to find out which industry will be exempted or will be immune to AI.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in terms of acceleration, some of them adopt it faster in terms of, hey, this is already big benefits, especially customer experience and customer journeys, because this is a easy way to connect the dots through AI. But the older, more structured industries like manufacturing and logistics, I think that's where they're leaping with robotics and things like that. And for me, I think that the next level of transformations would be to see what is the most. I think when we take an old industry and they are completely changing through like a leap of project that will completely change the timeline and things like that. I would love to see and showcase some of the examples of the most innovative companies, not in the industries, that are leading those transformations.
Right. That absolutely. I think that's an interesting exploration to have. I know that there are companies that are helping farmers. This is now we are going back to the dawn of humanity or civilization and such. Helping farming by having AI analyze soil samples and use weather patterns to advise farmers how best to use a particular grain or seed or whatever. This is happening today. This is not hypothetical. This is happening today. So from there to fisheries to so on and so forth, I think we're at the cusp of some extraordinary technological innovation. We should just buckle up and be ready for the ride.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to interview you when you have been doing some of those cool new projects and business transformations. So I look forward to see you on our next episodes. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Ulyana. I had a great time speaking with you. Look forward to doing this again.
Perfect. Thanks for joining on Air podcast. And we look forward to see everyone in the next episode.